Hi, my name is Richard Dunn, and I'm here to talk to you today for CIT 360 a little bit about Java collections and the different kinds of Java collections that there are. Now, what a collection is a collection is basically a way of gathering a bunch of data, storing a bunch of data, and then dispersing a bunch of data. And there are a number of different ways that this can be done, which actually, to be honest with you, kind of blew my mind when I learned it. I always thought arrays were just kind of the end all be all or variables, but there really are a bunch of different ways that you can store variables or excuse me, information in Java. And how you use it and how you choose it and what you decide to do with it really kind of depends on what you're going to be looking at. So I want to just go over a couple of these very quickly. The first one I want to go over is a list. Now, a list is different from a lot of these other variables in that it does allow duplicate items. In many of these collections, you're not allowed to put in a duplicate. If you do it, I think it'll just overwrite. But I have here a list that I've made in NetBeans. This is just a little code. It's created an array list, and it's going to go through and add, and I'm pointing at things and you apparently can't see my cursor. It's going to go through starting on line 13 and add the names of me, my wife, and my daughter. And then it's going to go ahead and spit those out. Then we're going to go ahead and make another list, which is going to include my brother Brent, his wife Anjanette, my brother-in-law Tim, and my sister Emily. And then it's just going to go ahead and spit that out. So let's just go ahead and run this. I'm just doing these with a quick run commands because, why go to all the trouble? So here we go. Array list elements, Richard, Whitney, Mia. Linked list elements, Brent, Anjanette, Tim, Emily. Very easy. But then let's go ahead and mess with it a little bit more, because the neat thing about collections is collections can expand and retract as opposed to arrays or other types of variables. Variables are just set to one item, and arrays, I believe you have to define going in. But let's go ahead and look at this new list that I've made. I decided to play my favorite game, which is Mafia, with my family. And so I made a list of all of the players, and you can see that starting on line 20. Richard, Whitney, Tim, Emily. Oops, I made an error. I put in my sister twice, and I spelled her name wrong. And then Brent and Jacob. So let's go ahead and run this. Well, no, let's not run it yet. So we've got my list. I've messed it up. It's going to show players in the game. It's going to spit it out, and it's going to be wrong. But I went in and processed it again, and I removed the Emily, the one with the extra E, and I'm going to go ahead and remove it from the thing, and that's going to list the new players in the game. So let's go ahead and run this. So players in the game, Richard, Whitney, Tim, Emily, Brent, Jacob. New players in the game, Richard, Whitney, Tim, Emily, Brent, Jacob. Very easy. So what you can see is the list can expand and contract. I could go in later if I wanted to add in, say, Anjanette. Afterwards, I could do another set of code and just go ahead and slot Anjanette into that list, and it would expand right back out to where it's supposed to be. So that's lists. Lists, one other thing about lists is that the iteration order is the order in which the items are inserted. So if I put that list in, and it's going to come right back out in exactly the same order that I put it in. That's just really easy. So let's talk for a minute about sets. Sets are slower to use than maps or lists. However, they are ordered. So if you put something into a set, it's going to come back out in the correct order. So let's show that off a little bit. Here I have a set that I've created. I've created a set that's just going to have a bunch of numbers. And you can see I've put them in an order. 10, 1, 9, 2, 8, 3, just completely the wrong order. So I go ahead and set that in, and it's going to do a sorted set. And when it spits it out, it's going to spit it out in order. Then it's going to tell me what the first element of the set is, and it's going to tell me what the last element of the set is. So let's go ahead and run that. So you see, put it all out exactly in the right order. First element is 1, second element is 2, or is 10. Last element is 10. Excuse me. It's been a long day. So let's go ahead. So sets, like I said, they're a little bit slower, but they do sort out the items that come in. I did mess with seeing if I could get it to do it with strings. It didn't like it, so we didn't do that. Finally, we have a map. Now, a map has better performance than a linked hash map or a linked hash set, but the iteration order is undefined. Um, I thought initially that that meant that things are just going to be spat out randomly. That doesn't seem to be the case. So I'm still looking a little bit into what the iteration order is undefined means. Um, that might be a bit beyond basic, but let's go ahead and process this. As you can see, I've created a map. I've got I've got names of myself and my family with our ages. I thought about social security numbers, but I thought that might be too telling. So Richard, 36, Whitney, 30, Mia, my daughter, is 1, Emily is 43, Brent is 46, my nephew Jacob is 9. So let's just go ahead and run this. And there it is. Spat it right out. Whitney's 30, Mia's 1, Emily's 46, Richard's 36, Brent's 46, Jacob is 9. And just spat it out in an undefined order. That is, you can see that is clearly not the order that I put it into. Every time that I've run this, it's spat it out in the same order, though. So it's not random. It's undefined, I guess. So anyway, those are oh, excuse me, maps, like I said, no, I covered that already. So that is Java collections. There is one other, which is a tree collection, and that works with various nodes and things having parents and siblings. I was going to do some code on that. My code on that couldn't quite work, and I don't really know how to explain it without code or without a visual. But basically, it's a way of sorting out items in a set to be under basically some items are parents of other items, and it kind of groups out that way, going up in an ascending order. But those are basic collections. There are more, but these are kind of the basic ones as far as I can tell. And again, my name is Richard Dunn, and this has been for CIT 360. Thank you for your time.